Hey guys, I am Lone Wolf. Today I am here on a serious topic. Most of you must have heard how devastating the effects of war is to the people affected by it. But the effect of a world war is something unfathomable to today's modern youth. Even when I was researching this topic, what I came across shook my very soul. Now why I say this may prevent a World War III, and really hope it does, because what I found was haunting beyond imagination. I did take help of AI to generate this video, but made sure to send the message intended. Hope you get it, and if you do, I wish you to send it to everyone you can. That's all I wish for now. Let's get to the main thing, Sebastian.
Hey, I am Sebastian, the narrator of today's documentary. In The Haunting Tale of 1919, A Journey Through Time, we will explore the scars left by the year 1919, the Treaty of Versailles and its discontents, the march of technology, the fight for suffrage, and the cultural explosion of the Roaring Twenties. Join me as we delve into this fascinating journey through time. I bet you didn't know how pivotal the year 1919 was. A year etched in the annals of history, a year that bore witness to the aftermath of unprecedented global conflict and the dawn of a new era. Imagine a world still reeling from the devastation of war. Cities lay in ruins, and the hearts of nations were heavy with grief and loss. The Great War, a conflict so massive it was dubbed the war to end all wars, had finally ended. The trenches were empty, the guns silent, but the echoes of battle still reverberated in the minds of those who survived. Millions lay dead, victims of brutal new technologies and old hatreds. The cost of the war was not just in lives lost, but in the shattered psyches of those who returned home. Empires crumbled, their maps redrawn. The Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, German and Russian empires were no more, replaced by a patchwork of new nations and borders. But from the ashes, a new era was struggling to be born. Reconstruction began, and with it, the hope of a better future. Across the globe, people yearned for peace and a return to normalcy. Families were reunited, and communities sought to rebuild what had been lost. Yet the scars of war ran deep. The trauma of the conflict lingered, manifesting in countless ways, from the haunted eyes of soldiers to the empty chairs at dinner tables. The Spanish flu, a deadly pandemic, swept the planet, adding to the devastation. Economies lay in ruins, and the death toll continued to rise, casting a shadow over the fragile peace. The old order was gone, but what would replace it remained uncertain. Political upheaval and social unrest were rampant as people grappled with the new realities of a post-war world. This was a world on the cusp of transformation. The Industrial Revolution had already begun to change the landscape, and new technologies promised to reshape society even further. The year 1919 stands as a pivotal point, a year where the past collided with the future, shaping the course of the 20th century and beyond. It was a year of significant events, each one leaving an indelible mark on history. It was a time of upheaval, innovation, and profound change. New inventions and ideas began to take root, setting the stage for the modern world. A year that continues to resonate in our own times, reminding us of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring quest for peace and progress. The lessons of 1919 are still relevant today as we navigate our own challenges and strive for a better future. Hey, I am Sebastian, your narrator. Today we embark on a journey through time, exploring the haunting tale of 1919, from the scars left by the Great War to the Treaty of Versailles and its discontents. We'll uncover the pivotal moments that shaped history. Let's dive in. In the Palace of Versailles, once the opulent home of French kings, diplomats gathered to hammer out a new world order. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in June 1919, officially ended the war with Germany. But the terms of the treaty were harsh, designed to punish Germany and prevent future conflict. Germany was forced to accept blame for the war and pay heavy reparations. Its military was severely restricted, and territories were stripped away. While some saw the treaty as necessary for lasting peace, others argued it was too punitive, sowing the seeds of resentment that would contribute to future conflicts. The treaty also redrew the map of Europe, creating new nations and igniting new tensions. The Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman empires, once vast and powerful, were dismantled. But the quest for national self-determination, a powerful force unleashed by the war, was only just beginning. While war had dominated the previous years, 1919 witnessed a resurgence of technological innovation. The war had spurred rapid advancements in aviation, communications and medicine. Now these technologies were poised to transform everyday life. The first commercial transatlantic flight took place in 1919, shrinking the world and ushering in a new era of air travel. Radio, still in its infancy, began to connect people across vast distances, transmitting news and entertainment. Medical breakthroughs, driven by the need to treat wartime injuries, promised to improve health and extend lives. The seeds of the information age were being sown. The world was becoming increasingly interconnected, and the pace of change was accelerating. 1919 marked the beginning of a technological revolution that would reshape the 20th century and continue to shape our lives today. Section 4. A new era for women, suffrage and shifting sands. The early 20th century was a time of profound transformation for women, marked by their relentless pursuit of equality and recognition in a society that had long marginalized them. The war had also profoundly impacted women's roles in society. As the world was engulfed in conflict, the absence of men on the home front created an unprecedented demand for labor, and women rose to the occasion. With men away fighting, women had stepped into traditionally male roles, working in factories, running businesses, and supporting the war effort. They became the backbone of the wartime economy, proving their capability and resilience. Their contributions challenged traditional gender norms and fueled the fight for women's suffrage. The visibility of women in these roles highlighted the absurdity of denying them the right to vote and participate fully in civic life. In 1919, women in the United States finally won the right to vote with the passage of the 19th Amendment. This monumental achievement was not just a legal victory, but a powerful symbol of women's growing influence and determination. This landmark victory was the culmination of decades of struggle and activism. Women from all walks of life had come together, organizing, protesting, and demanding their rights in the face of immense opposition. It marked a turning point in the fight for gender equality, though the journey was far from over. The right to vote was a significant step, but it was just the beginning of a broader movement for social justice and equality. Beyond the ballot box, women were pushing for greater social and economic freedom. The 1920s saw women challenging the status quo in every aspect of life, from the workplace to the home. They embraced new fashions, challenged traditional expectations, and sought greater autonomy. The flapper, with her bold style and independent spirit, became a symbol of this new era of female empowerment. The new woman of the 1920s, independent and assertive, was a product of the societal shifts set in motion during and after the war. She was not just a figure of fashion, but a representation of the changing roles and aspirations of women in a rapidly evolving world. As women continued to break barriers, they began to take on leadership roles in various sectors, from politics to business. Their voices grew louder and their influence more pronounced, paving the way for future generations. Education also became a critical battleground. Women sought higher education and professional training, understanding that knowledge was key to achieving true equality and independence. By entering fields previously dominated by men, such as science and medicine, women demonstrated their intellectual capabilities and further dismantled the barriers that had long confined them to domestic spheres. The fight for labour rights also saw significant female participation. Women organised and joined labour unions, advocating for fair wages, better working conditions and equal opportunities. In the arts, women began to make their mark as well. Female artists, writers and performers used their talents to express their experiences and perspectives, enriching the cultural landscape and challenging societal norms. Even in sports, women were breaking new ground. Female athletes competed and excelled, proving that physical prowess was not limited by gender. The 1920s was a decade of transformation and progress for women. Their achievements during this period laid the foundation for future advancements in gender equality, inspiring generations to come. Section 5. The Jazz Age Dawns Culture in the Roaring Twenties. The 1920s, often referred to as the Roaring Twenties, was a decade of dramatic social and political change. For the first time, more Americans lived in cities than on farms. The nation's total wealth more than doubled between 1920 and 1929, and this economic growth swept many Americans into an affluent but unfamiliar consumer society. As the world emerged from the shadow of war, a new era of cultural expression dawned. The end of World War I brought a sense of relief and a desire to break away from the past. People were eager to embrace new ideas, new fashions, and new forms of entertainment. The war had changed the world, and now the world was ready to change its culture. The Roaring Twenties, as the decade would come to be known, was a time of unprecedented prosperity, social change, and artistic innovation. Cities expanded rapidly, and the urban landscape was transformed by skyscrapers and bustling streets filled with automobiles. The economic boom led to a consumer culture where people had more disposable income to spend on leisure activities and new technologies. And at the heart of this cultural revolution was jazz. Jazz music, with its roots in the African-American communities of New Orleans, became the soundtrack of the era. It was more than just music. It was a symbol of the new, modern age. Jazz clubs sprang up in cities across the country, and the music's popularity spread like wildfire. Born in the African-American communities of New Orleans, jazz music spread like wildfire across the United States and beyond. The music's syncopated rhythms and improvisational style captivated audiences and inspired a new generation of musicians. Jazz was a melting pot of different musical traditions, blending elements of blues, ragtime, and European classical music. With its syncopated rhythms, improvisational spirit, and infectious energy, jazz captured the spirit of the age, a rejection of the old and an embrace of the new. Dance halls and speakeasies became the epicenters of social life, where people from all walks of life came together to dance the Charleston and the Lindy Hop. Jazz was more than just a musical genre. It was a cultural movement that embodied the freedom and excitement of the Roaring Twenties. But the Jazz Age was more than just music. It was a period of literary giants like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway, who captured the exuberance and anxieties of the era. Their works reflected the disillusionment and moral ambiguity that followed the war, as well as the hedonistic pursuit of pleasure that characterized the decade. It was a period of literary giants like F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway who captured the exuberance and anxieties of the era. Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby and Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises are quintessential works that explore the complexities of the human experience during this transformative time. These authors, along with others like T.S. Eliot and Langston Hughes, pushed the boundaries of literary expression and left an indelible mark on American literature. It was a time of artistic experimentation, with movements like Art Deco and Surrealism challenging conventional aesthetics. Art Deco, with its bold geometric shapes and lavish ornamentation, became the defining style of the decade, influencing everything from architecture to fashion. Surrealism, on the other hand, sought to explore the unconscious mind and dream imagery, leading to some of the most imaginative and thought-provoking works of art. The world was changing, and its culture was changing with it. The Roaring Twenties was a decade of transformation, where old conventions were cast aside in favor of new ways of thinking and living. It was a time of innovation and creativity, where the boundaries of art, music, and literature were pushed to new heights. The legacy of this vibrant era continues to influence our culture today, reminding us of a time when the world was filled with endless possibilities. Pause 2S, Section 6, The Great Depression looms. As the Roaring Twenties came to an end, the exuberance and prosperity of the decade gave way to an era of economic hardship and uncertainty. The stock market crash of 1929 marked the beginning of the Great Depression, a period that would leave a profound scar on the global economy and society. The crash wasn't just a financial disaster. It was a seismic event that shattered the illusion of endless prosperity. Banks failed, businesses closed, and millions found themselves unemployed. The streets that once bustled with the energy of the Jazz Age now echoed with the footsteps of those searching for work. The cultural vibrancy of the 1920s gave way to a more somber mood. The optimism and carefree spirit were replaced by a sense of loss and desperation. Yet even in these dark times, human resilience and creativity found ways to shine through. Artists, writers, and musicians began to reflect the harsh realities of the era in their work. The escapism of the Roaring Twenties was replaced by a more grounded and poignant form of expression. Literature, music, and visual arts captured the struggles and hopes of a generation grappling with unprecedented challenges. The Great Depression also saw the rise of new political and social movements. As people sought solutions to their plight, they began to question the existing systems and structures. This period set the stage for significant political changes and laid the groundwork for the modern welfare state. The lessons learned during this time would resonate for decades to come, influencing policies and attitudes towards economic stability and social welfare. The Great Depression was a stark reminder of the fragility of prosperity and the resilience of the human spirit. Pause 3S. This concludes our journey through the haunting tale of 1919. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more historical explorations. As we reflect on the events of 1919 and beyond, we see a world transformed by war, prosperity, and economic collapse. The end of World War I brought hope, the Roaring Twenties brought joy, and the Great Depression brought hardship. Each era left an indelible mark on history, shaping the world we live in today. The resilience and creativity of people during these times remind us of the enduring human spirit. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time.
So if you have watched till this point, you must have gotten what the people who survived the war felt those years. The mental scars of people took decades to fill, and some never did. I don't think any one sane person would want another war back then, and I hope you can feel their emotion and realize the value of peace, what our ancestor fought to protect. Thanks for watching till now. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I usually post horror content. Yet this tale was nothing short of a human history of horror.